Hi, welcome to our podcast. We have been delving into a trifecta, if you will, of first talking about how does AI enable you to create really good strategies, or actually it's the assessment first, and then the strategies was second, and now the third big bucket is implementation. How do you use AI in productive ways for that part of your plan. And so, Tom, I'm going to open it up to you first, and you can get us started on this hot topic.
Thank you. I think when you talk about AI for the execution of a strategic plan, I think in a lot of ways, it is perhaps the most automated, if you will, way to use AI. We've been talking throughout this series about the absolute need for AI and your human knowledge and experience to work together to analyze the market, to build your strategy. And to an extent, it's still true as we start thinking about AI for execution. But whereas you would not just go into whatever AI agent that you're using and say, create my strategic plan, right? Because it probably wouldn't be against the right targets and addressing the right things. So you need a lot of, tools and human thought to kind of structure AI in those areas. When it comes to execution, you can show AI what your plan is, okay, and say, this is what we've decided our strategy is. And you can start to take any like almost bespoke executional templates that your company has, because every company is different about how they want you to articulate your implementation plan, how they want you to present the metrics and everything else. And you can almost, just plug that in, and AI will do a great job of giving you 80 or 90% of what you need to fill out your company specific formats, for implementation, whether that be how the company wants you to present your plan and summarize it, how the company wants you to account for your budget and what you're going to spend. I mean, you still have to massage that as a human, but it becomes really, really helpful in that blocking and tackling sense. Um, you guys agree? Does that make sense?
I think so. I also, and you alluded to this, Tom, earlier on, that AI, its probably most common use case is execution. Sadly, that's sometimes done without the strategy piece. So it doesn't necessarily give you good execution, right? I mean, that's where we think we start famously before AI in our process, our methods, we can have a 4 day class or workshop and not get to execution until day three because it's all about the planning part. So we've covered how we use AI for the early stages, the strategic stages, but a lot of people have used AI for execution. In fact, there's many templates out there. Give me a social media schedule with tight messaging around this theme. In many ways, AI, or maybe I should step back from saying replace, can augment the creative partners that you use, right? That's one of the prime uses. If you've discovered through strategic processes who it is you want to be talking to and what it is you want to be saying to them, what's that position, that message, that key idea, then execution is about how and where you're going to have those conversations or communications. And AI can really help you design specific content around themes for specific media. And in many ways, it's the perfect use of AI. But unless you do the first bit, you could be perfectly executing a very flawed plan. And that's, I think, the difference to not disassociate execution from strategic plan because that's the key to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Sean, you're saying you have to have a human involved in this?
Well, I like humans, I must say. And and I think that's why I think augmentation is the key word, isn't it? Because if honest, or maybe in the future, AI will identify unmet needs, create new products, set up manufacturing, distribution, communication, marketing, advertising, handle distribution. And
So
we
I
can
have, okay,
talk.
so I have a distribution example, and it's a um, I was I have my Christmas cards that I wanted to deliver. I mailed a lot of them, but I have a neighborhood, and I decided I wanted to walk my neighborhood, but my neighborhood's kind of, it's not obvious how you can deliver Christmas cards. So I put in my Christmas card list the map of my neighborhood, and I said, "Tell me how I can efficiently hand deliver all of my cards to my neighborhood." And it gave me a map of how to deliver that. So that is the ultimate in, execution.
Well, and
That is Tom. I gotta say that is the ultimate in Mary.
yeah.
It's not the ultimate in execute. That's the ultimate in like what can I use this AI for? I know how can I maximize the efficiency of my Christmas card delivery route. Have you tried it for Halloween yet? In terms of
I'm working on that. I have a
Who
little
has the
bit of
best
time.
candy? I don't model the houses that would probably have, whatever can Mary doesn't eat candy though. She doesn't even
Yeah.
like cake. But anyway, we digress. Wait,
So
we were using AI for execution, I think, first here. I mean, our early uses of AI were to help us with our content program, right? Helping us. We already had decided and worked for many years on who our target markets were, what we wanted to communicate, how we want to position ourselves. That work being done, we used AI to help us to do things like come up with podcast topics that were on message, right? That were on our strategy, that were consistent with our strategy, and help us to develop, different ways and, as you said, Sean, content calendars that help us to kind of disseminate that message. Our version of Mary's Christmas cards in an efficient and great manner. So
and
that
our
was one
book,
of the
we
experiences.
and our book came out of that too. We had all of our content in the book in the it helped us on the back end. Even, I've been watching how companies are using AI for those three buckets. And of course, Starbucks, I used to love Starbucks and then I didn't. But I think I might start loving them again because I'm watching what they're doing with AI, and they are using it to, I mean, one of their biggest problems is the wait times, you have people driving up, you have people mobile ordering, and you have people walking in. You have three different inputs, and if you in some way think of time as a limited quantity, they didn't have a real good way to balance all of that. And so, the baristas were getting frustrated too, and so they have an AI system called Brew, Deep Brew,
of course they do.
that takes all this information, and it's like the air traffic control for Starbucks now, where they are able to optimize the workflow so that it minimizes people's wait times. So it's such a great execution, where customer experience has to be improved because finally there's a system to be able to do that.
I
So,
wonder if
and I'm
I wonder.
sure on a bigger level too. You go ahead,
Well,
Sean.
no, I was just thinking, I wonder if that takes away some of the core advantages historically. If you think of McDonald's, famously, they had the sort of kitchen mapped out and they were doing the flow diagrams and their whole thing, the original McDonald brothers rather than the Ray Kroc era, but their differentiator was they literally mapped everything. They drew pictures on the floor of all the different stations and just followed the flow. And they got a real good sense of how to optimize the process flows to get that burger delivered straight away. And Walmart, famously, we talked about. I mean, we forget AI is such a recent phenomenon because not so long ago we would use Walmart as an example of how they had connected all their stores and they could see through their data processing, oh, it looks like toothpaste is being sold a lot in Mobile, Alabama. Why is that? And they would look for these clues. And this was I guess before AI, we had the era of big data, right? That was the buzzword. You got all this data. How do you learn from it? And now, such that Walmart learned how to manage big data, and McDonald's way back in time learned how to manage process flows. That's available to anyone now. It makes it a much more competitive environment, right? Because AI can answer those questions. Give it the raw data, it can figure it out, I assume.
Well, I think it just levels the playing field. I mean, if you've been, battling bigger, more well-funded competitors, there's certain advantages that they've had over the years that, are evening out now. I mean, just in terms of headcount, an individual marketer, for example, can do more. And I think that we first predicted. Probably, I don't know when we first predicted it, but it's back in early 20s that the impact of AI would be that individual marketers could probably have more responsibility because AI kind of streamlines so many of the things that used to take them much longer. I know our content program is 50 to 60% more efficient than it used to be. So we reinvest that time in doing other things. But I do think it's a great leveler, of the playing field.
Yeah,
Um,
with, without a doubt. Without a
Yeah,
doubt.
I just figured out this week how to take a Zoom, if you're teaching or you're in a program and you have the audio, how you can download it in a certain format. And then I asked AI, I said, how do I turn this into a written document so that I can, use it, repurpose it for other things? And it gave me a bunch of different places that I could go. And then at the bottom it says, "Do you want me to do it for you?" And I said, "Please." And then and the first time I did it, it just gave it still worked, but it was more just it was words, but it was just like a notes. And I said, "Please put it into a Word document for me." And I didn't push it to go, "Please put it into a PowerPoint for me." But it is interesting how you can implement things so much better when you just learn to ask the right questions.
Oh my gosh, Mary, I mean, I think we might have buried the lead here because you just reminded me of what I think I've found to be the biggest benefit of AI to execution, and that is in the actual implementation of a needs-based segmentation strategy. Because what we've seen forever is people see a needs-based segmentation approach much better than segmenting on size or location or all the other ways that people segment. They see that needs-based is powerful, but it's always been this idea like, how the heck do I know if this account that I'm visiting today, what needs-based segment they're in? I can tell what size they are. I can just look it up, right? Or I can tell where they're located. I know where I'm going. But how do I know what needs-based bucket they're in? Well, guess what? If you train AI to understand your segmentation, it can immediately go out and look at every bit of information that exists on an account. It can analyze their website, their annual reports, and everything and say it's likely that this account is in this bucket. You can literally hand the sales force a list of their accounts bucketed into segments, which makes it so much and frankly, it can also say, and when you talk to this account in this segment, here's what you should probably mention to the head of procurement, and here's what you should say to the head of sales, right? It's because it understands your strategy. It knows where you're going, and that may be the biggest benefit of AI of all. It makes that powerful approach to needs-based segmentation.
And that only works, Tom, when you've got that. I mean, keep emphasizing this, but it's not available to someone that says, right, I'm going to go straight to execution, straight to guns on this, because you've got to do the hard work of who and what do they care about and how do we position and say. And then you're right, absolutely right. One of the big barriers, once you've decided that this is the needs-based segment we want to talk to, this is the message and the positioning we want to get in front of them, then it's like, how do we find them? Where are they? How do we reasonably target them? Sometimes we've used sales forces, and sometimes we've used just in intuition and knowledge. You're right. With AI, you go for that. You can take the very detailed strategy and turn it into execution, overcoming the barriers that traditionally have existed in exactly what you say. I think you're right.
Yeah, I was surprised when Tom did that, and we actually did it for an account in Japan. And Tom, you went and you came up with the names of the companies, and I was like, oh, I wonder if this is really going to work. And then we showed it to the client, and they're like, yeah, those are the accounts. So, uh,
Yeah,
so I
that's what
then I
they
was
said.
looking
This
for
I'm mimicking
even
them.
more.
They're looking at it. They're like this, and then they're like, "That's I agree with that." So
I
I
know.
mean, look, they're relying on their gut, but what really is happening, in the past, they'd have to rely on their gut. Do I think they seem more patient, patient centric, or are they more operationally focused? You look at what's the chairman saying in the annual report, right? AI can read Japanese, by the way. You know,
Yeah, and where are they investing money? And
yeah,
yeah,
and
so
they seem more operationally focused, more patient focused.
And what the analyst is saying about them, because there's an element of, if you take everything from the horse's mouth, that there's going to be a little bit of self-justification for all their actions. But it can also read the analyst report and see what people are saying. It can analyze where the stock price has gone and see people who are happy with this strategy, or they're concerned about this. What are they concerned about? It gives you the 360, full 360.
so we
Immediately.
we talk a lot about how AI can, cut your planning time in half, or that you're able to do a plan in a week, which could have taken you months to do. And what's interesting about this too is on the implementation side of it, it cuts that. I mean, we never put that into the mathematical equation, but if you think about using AI in the implementation part, it takes what used to take, months of planning, and it provides it to you in hours or minutes. So, there's even a greater savings. And, it's not perfect, but boy, it really does enable you in a lot more ways than ever possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, it's all about, like many things, it's with strategic um, planning and thought. It's about efficiency and effectiveness. How efficiently can you do it? Because you're going to go through 6 month cycles continuously evaluating every single aspect of the business. You find it hard to get out of that trap of analysis. And efficiency will shorten that time. Then the effectiveness is given what you're doing. How effective does it work? Are you going to sell more of product X or get a market share of Y? Have goals. So it hits both those dimensions. It's both an efficiency tool and very much an effectiveness tool if used early enough in the process to feed the execution phase.
Yeah, I know. It sounds like we're selling it. We don't even, we're
We're
not
doing
even
this
selling
20
it anymore.
years.
We
We
just are
just
so
see the
happy
light.
about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, we hope that you try a few things. And as always, we love it when you send us a note and let us know how you've done some of these things. So thank you.
Thank you.